You may not realize this, but every time you overthink a decision, you're not protecting yourself. You're delaying your own progress. And the longer you stay in your head, the further away you get from the life you actually want. Hi, I'm Lily, and in this video, I'll show you why overthinking keeps you stuck and how to stop it so you can move forward in your life. Identify what exactly you're overthinking. Before you can stop overthinking, you first need to know exactly what you're overthinking. Are you overthinking your future, a decision, other people's opinions, or are you constantly replaying your past? For instance, I used to overthink my past a lot, my past decisions, why my life journey unfolded the way it did, and why certain things happened the way they did. Different thoughts require different solutions. If you don't identify the source, you will keep treating all overthinking as the same problem, and you will never address what's actually causing it. So ask yourself, what is my mind constantly coming back to? What hasn't been resolved? What issue keeps demanding my attention? Then go one step deeper. Ask yourself, why? Why does this keep coming back? What happened? What is it that I'm struggling to let go of or make peace with? Yeah? Keep asking yourself these questions until you get to the root of the problem. Very often, overthinking isn't the real issue. It's a symptom of something that hasn't been resolved yet. And as long as that issue remains unresolved, your mind will keep returning to it again and again. Yeah? Once you identify what you're actually overthinking, you will have much more clarity about what you really need to work on. You can't solve a problem if you don't know what the problem is. Overthinking often starts where clarity is missing. Another reason why you might be overthinking is a lack of clarity. You might not be clear about what you actually want or where you want your life to go. And when you don't know what you want, your mind keeps searching for answers. You might find yourself constantly asking questions like, which career do I want? Do I ever want this relationship? Where do I want my life to go? What kind of person do I want to become? And so on. Yeah? Your mind might be dealing with some of these questions or completely different ones, but the principle is the same. Until you gain clarity about what you truly want, you may keep overthinking. Sometimes overthinking happens because you have conflicting desires. This means that you want two things at the same time, but you can't have both at the same time. For example, you want to move abroad, but you don't want to leave your family. Overthinking often appears when two important desires or values are pulling you in opposite directions. I personally experienced this a few years ago when, after finishing my bachelor's degree, I wanted to pursue a master's degree in English, but at the same time, I also wanted to work on my first YouTube channel, have time for my hobbies, and travel. Yeah, so quite a lot of activities. I was in a situation where I had to decide which path to choose. And at that time, I decided to pursue my master's degree because it was a higher priority for me than my YouTube channel back then. So I started my master's degree, but during the summer before the semester began, I still thought that I might be able to start my YouTube channel and work on it alongside my studies. I made a few videos, but during the semester, I realized that it wasn't realistic for me to continue doing both at the same time. So I had to put off my first YouTube channel. In the end, I chose my university studies, which meant that I had to postpone the other things I wanted to do. So if you're in a situation where you need to choose between two options and you know that you won't have enough time, energy, money, or whatever else it might be for both, you need to decide which one you want to choose now and which one you're willing to postpone. So if you're struggling with a situation like this, try to imagine yourself choosing option A. What would that choice mean to you? How would you feel? Picture it clearly in your mind. Imagine that you've chosen option A. You're working towards it and you're achieving what you wanted. What would it bring into your life? What value would it have for you? Yeah. Then do exactly the same with option B. Imagine that you have chosen it and you are fully pursuing it. How would you feel? What would it bring into your life? What value would it have for you? Yeah? How could it change the direction of your life? Then imagine another scenario. What if option A wasn't available to you at all? In my case, that would have meant not getting my master's degree in English. What would that have meant to me? What would I have missed? Yeah? How would I have felt about letting go of that opportunity? And then do the same with option B. By imagining these different scenarios, you may start to see more clearly which option matters more to you, which loss would affect you more deeply, and which direction feels more aligned with what you truly want. The more you think, the more you doubt yourself. When you overthink something, you create more and more questions and doubts in your mind. You might start with a relatively simple decision, but the longer you think about it, the more complicated it becomes. You start asking yourself, what if I make the wrong decision? What if I regret it? What if there's a better option? What if I'm missing something important? Of course, there is a difference between overthinking and productive thinking or problem solving. Thinking about a problem can help you understand it, consider your options, and find a solution. But overthinking does the opposite. Instead of bringing you closer to an answer, it often creates more questions, more doubts, and more confusion. And suddenly, you're no longer just thinking about the decision itself. You start doubting your own ability to make the right choice. But this can also work the other way around. Sometimes you overthink because you already don't trust yourself enough. You doubt your decisions. You question what you said in conversations, for example. You analyze your past. You worry about your future because you don't fully trust yourself to handle whatever happens. So it can become a cycle. You don't trust yourself, so you overthink. And the more you overthink, the more reasons you find to doubt yourself. So how do you break this cycle? Start by noticing when your thinking is no longer helping you solve a problem and is instead creating more doubt. Ask yourself, am I discovering something new here, or am I just going over the same thoughts again and again? Is this thinking bringing me closer to a solution, or is it making me more confused? If you're no longer gaining new information or moving closer to an answer, recognize that you've probably reached the point where more thinking isn't going to help you anyway. At that moment, stop searching for perfect certainty and decide what your next action will be. It can be a small step, making a decision, having a conversation, doing more research if information is genuinely missing, or simply accepting that some uncertainty will still remain. And when you've made a decision, practice standing by it. Don't immediately reopen the case in your mind and start questioning everything again. Unless you receive new information that genuinely changes the situation, give yourself permission to move forward. Because self-trust isn't built by always making the perfect decision. It's built by making the best decision you can with the information you have, taking action and trusting yourself to deal with whatever happens next. You don't take action because of overthinking. Not taking action is probably the clearest way overthinking ruins your progress or creates the illusion of progress. You feel mentally busy because you're analyzing, planning, imagining different possibilities, and considering different outcomes. But thinking about taking action is not the same as actually taking action, right? Often you want to eliminate all uncertainty before you act, which is completely understandable. It seems logical to prepare yourself and try to make the best possible decision. However, you need to realize that you will probably never gain 100% certainty. So instead of allowing questions like, what if I make the wrong decision? What if I fail? Or what if I regret it? To stop you, try to actually answer them. Prepare yourself mentally for those possibilities instead of being paralyzed by them. For example, what if you make the wrong decision? Well, you will learn that this particular choice doesn't work for you, and you may become better at making decisions in the future. What if you fail? Try to see failure as an opportunity to learn and gain experience. I know it's not easy. Naturally, none of us wants to fail, but unfortunately, failure is part of the journey. If you fail, you discover what doesn't work for you and you gain a better understanding of which direction you shouldn't take in the future. Overthinking can also become a form of avoidance. Sometimes thinking feels safer than doing. For example, as long as you're still thinking about starting your YouTube channel, changing careers, moving to a different city or country, or applying for a job, you don't have to face the reality of taking action. You don't have to face the possibility of failure, rejection, criticism, or regret, even if the chances of those things happening may actually be very small. But action often gives you the clarity that thinking cannot. You may think endlessly about whether you will enjoy something, whether you're capable of doing it, or whether it's the right path for you. But sometimes you simply need to try it to get your answers. Clarity is often gained while you're already walking the path. The path itself begins to reveal itself as you move forward. Yeah, you don't always need to see the entire road before taking the first step. Every time you act, you get new information. Action gives you feedback. You learn what works, what doesn't, what you enjoy, what you need to improve, and what your next step should be. Overthinking, on the other hand, often keeps you working with the same information again and again. And bear in mind that this can lead to analysis paralysis. You keep analyzing, but all that analysis keeps you paralyzed and you don't take action. Yeah? So what's the solution? The solution isn't to take random or impulsive action just for the sake of doing something. The solution is to recognize when you've thought enough and when further thinking is no longer helping. The solution to overthinking is often action, because action breaks the cycle of endless thinking and gives you new information. The key message is this: don't wait for complete clarity before taking action, because sometimes clarity is the result of action, not a prerequisite for it. Practice mental discipline. Practicing mental discipline means learning to recognize when your thoughts are no longer helping you and consciously choosing not to keep feeding them. Let's say you're overthinking something. The first step is to realize that you're doing it. You become aware of what's happening in your mind and say to yourself, I'm overthinking right now. The second step is to interrupt that mental process. Stop for a moment and recognize that continuing to analyze the same thing is not bringing you any closer to a solution. Then acknowledge what this overthinking is doing to you. You can tell yourself, I'm overthinking this. This is causing me suffering. I've already thought about this enough. And finally, release it. Relax your mind and give yourself permission to put a stop to overthinking. When your mind is constantly running and you can't stop thinking, it's almost as if you were constantly clenching your fist. Imagine holding your fist like this and refusing to let go. After some time, your muscles start to hurt because they're constantly tense, yeah? So what do? You need to relax your muscles. You open your hand and you let go of the tension, yeah? Just as you can unclench your fist and release the physical tension, you can also stop holding on so tightly to your thoughts and give your mind permission to let go. Shift your focus from your thoughts to reality. Overthinking keeps you trapped inside your head. The way out is to reconnect with what's actually happening around you. Overthinking pulls you away from the present moment. You're physically somewhere, but mentally you're replaying the past, imagining the future, analyzing conversations, and so on. Ask yourself, what is actually happening right now? This is a powerful question because it helps you separate reality from the story your mind is creating. Maybe the reality is very simple. I'm sitting in my room, I'm safe, nobody is here, nothing bad is happening right now. Yeah? Pay attention to what you can see, what you can hear, and what you can physically experience. If you practice the mental discipline I explained in the previous point, recognize that you're overthinking, interrupting the process, and consciously relaxing your mind will naturally help bring you back to the present moment. And I know from my own experience that it can be really difficult to live in the present moment. In the past, I was constantly overthinking my past or thinking about my future. It was very difficult. Sometimes it felt almost impossible for me to simply be present. The only times when I was truly in the present moment were when I was learning and completely focused on the subject I was studying, or when I was writing a seminar paper or working on my thesis. Yeah? Otherwise, I was constantly thinking about my past or my future. And I have to admit that I'm still learning how to live in the present moment, not only physically, but also mentally, because my mind is almost constantly running. So I know it's not easy. Focus fully on what you are doing. If you are working, focus on the task in front of you. If you are walking, for instance, notice your surroundings. If you're eating, pay attention to your food. Yeah? Give your mind something real and concrete to engage with. And when you're talking to someone, focus on that person instead of yourself. Be a great listener. Yeah? Don't stay trapped in your own mind thinking, what should I say next? Do I sound silly? What does this person think of me? And so on. Instead, become genuinely curious about what the other person is saying. The more you engage with what is actually happening in front of you, the less attention you give to the endless stories, possibilities, and hypothetical scenarios your mind creates. Set a decision deadline and take action. Sometimes you may find yourself facing a decision with no deadline and no external pressure to act. You could spend days, weeks, or even months thinking about it. And in one sense, having that freedom is a good thing because you don't have to rush into anything or make a decision under stress. But having unlimited time can also work against you. When there are no boundaries, it's easy to keep thinking indefinitely. You postpone the decision because you tell yourself, I have more time, maybe I need to think about it a little longer, or perhaps I still need more information. Yeah? These thoughts may sound perfectly reasonable, but they can also keep you stuck in the same place. That's why it can be helpful to give yourself a specific and reasonable amount of time to think the situation through and then make your decision. So when there's no external deadline, create one for yourself. Give yourself 2 weeks to decide, or for example, choose a specific date and commit to it. For instance, on the 15th of September, I will decide. The purpose isn't to rush yourself. It's to prevent unlimited thinking from turning into endless overthinking. Don't let overthinking steal your progress. Trust yourself, take the next step, and keep moving forward. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!